Hey, so last year I found this item on Amazon that I added to my wish list because it was a little Buddha statue that was meant for aquariums, and I figured, hey, if it can withhold surviving a water environment, it can probably be okay in a bonsai setting where it's gonna be getting water a lot. And I added it to my wish list. I got it for Christmas last year, and let's just say that the picture was this nicely painted gray tone stone looking item, and this is what I got. And here it is. Now this is yellow. It's not gray. It's yellow. It would look beautiful if it looked like the picture, but it's yellow. So we're gonna go ahead and paint that, and then I'm going to see if I can find some tree to put on it or around it or with it. We will see. But let's go ahead and get started on painting this little guy. So here we go, starting with the paint. I'm using both black and brown paints because as I'm applying it, it will give you some sort of variation on the colors. That way it's a little bit more random and it's not just one flat tone, and it's going to try to give it a little bit more of a natural look to it, so it's not just like one flat color. I am going to go through all the different areas, making sure I get all the nooks and crannies, because if I don't, you will see some of the greens and yellows show through, and that's not what we're going for. I make sure that I grab a brush I don't care too much about, because sometimes when you paint something that has so much texture like this little statue does, it tends to mess the bristles a little bit. So just keep that in mind if you're doing something like this, that you don't want to use your nice expensive brushes on something that might end up ruining it and it's not really needed for it. Once I get everything painted, one color like this, just the darkest tones I want, I let it dry so that I can apply the lighter tones without an issue. So I'm doing a dry brush technique. I'm using black, white, green, and a little bit of blue as well. And I'm going through and just lightly applying the paint on the main surfaces. So I'm making sure I'm not pushing the paint on the nooks and crannies, because we want that to remain dark. I want just basically the outer areas of the statue to be covered. I do this about 3 or 4 times. Each time I go with a little bit of a lighter color, as you can see right now, so that it gets a nice depth tones through it. So all the nooks and crannies should be darker, the main surfaces should be a little bit lighter, but going back as well with some of the black, just a little bit watered down, and just slightly brushing it on, because you want for it to be a little bit more broken up and for it to look a little bit dirty. It is going to be with a plant. We want for it to look a little bit more aged. So this is just the last couple of finishing touches that I'm applying some of the darker colors to the areas that are going to be where you think the dirt will collect the most. So here it is. The painting is done, and now to the next step. So now I got the plant that I feel will work the best for this project. It is a Chinese elm that I grew from a cutting, and the reason why I think it's going to work really well, it has about 3 or 4 very long roots spanning from the flat base and a lot of smaller roots at the ends. So I gotta figure out where I want for it to go on the statue. It took me about half an hour just playing around. I tried the shoulder, I tried on top of the head, I try on the hands to see if it's holding it, but overall it worked best on the leg. After I get the position correct, I get a bonsai wire and I wrap around the base and I twist it. This is going to keep the plant in its place, and it's also going to help the roots stay close to the statue. We don't want the roots to look like they're just hanging way too far. Now for the bonsai dirt to be added around the base. If you pay close attention, the statue is not perfectly centered. It's because I'm taking into account the fact that the plant is off to one side. If I plant the bonsai on the center, you know, everything in the perfect center, it's just going to look a little unbalanced. So I'm keeping that in mind. The plant's going to get bigger, it's going to grow more branches, so just to keep it balanced, it's a little bit off to the side. I'm using my metal stick and I'm pushing some of the dirt into place, making sure that there's no air pockets near the roots. And you kind of do this until the dirt starts going into the pot. So once you see that it's not really moving much, that's when you stop. Here is a little bit of a close-up of the project. You can see the roots a little bit better, and I made sure that they kind of didn't cover the face too much. That will look kind of tacky. So here's the roots and how it's kind of positioned to wrap around. I wanted to go for more of a natural look, so they're more randomized throughout the statue. So there are two things I'm going to do right now. First, I feel like this is way too tall. I want to keep things basically just a little bit taller than the statue. So what I'm going to do to promote growth from the lower parts of the plant, I am going to cut it off right here. And I can always make this into a little cutting. And since I have leaves coming down here, they are going to help the plant grow more from those sections. The second thing I'm going to do is, since I've gone ahead and exposed some of the roots that used to be inside the dirt, and it's going to take some time for them to acclimate to being exposed, I grabbed some Spanish moss from outside and I am just going to wrap around basically the whole thing. So I'll probably end up going back to this project and giving up some updates as far as what it ends up looking like, and it doesn't end up looking like a little head sticking out of a ball of Spanish moss. Alright, thank you guys very much. Have a good day. Bye. Thanks for watching my video. Make sure to like it, leave a comment below, and for more art related videos, go to my channel and subscribe.